Well, first off, thank you guys for coming. Welcome. I'm excited about this season. I know we've all been waiting for the last few months in anticipation of this day. So I'm thrilled to be here. I know our coaches and our players, they've been here all summer. They're excited to be a part of this, to be a part of something new. Our focus in the summer was to create an environment that was conducive to growth and to create a place where the guys would really want to be. And I think we've done that. And so as we move forward this year with excitement, we hope to continue to build an environment where the guys will come in every day, improve every day during every practice, every game, and hopefully at the end of this thing, we'll see ourselves as a better team in a few months. So, like I said, it's just an opportunity for us to show you guys what we really believe and what we're about, and that's bringing joy and excitement back to Phoenix Suns basketball. And so with that, I'll open it up for questions. Well, first off, it's Monty's job to figure out what to do with the roster. You know, we just wanted to get some good players, and I think we've done that. We've added some maturity, and we have a good mix of people. We can put the playing aside, but we have some really good people. And when you can put a bunch of good guys together in a room and ask them to work together to kind of turn this thing around, you'll see what we see on a daily basis, which is enthusiasm. And I think that's the foundation for growth. And so as we continue to move forward together, we'll have fun. And when you have fun, you have success. And success is what we're chasing.
How important was it to get the veteran point guard in, kind of leave some of those dudes off, Devin learning point guard?
That was critical. You know, I admit last year we didn't give the players every opportunity to be successful. It's tough to ask young players to direct a team. It's tough to ask Devin to do so many things, playmaking, scoring, and creating for his teammates. So the addition of Ricky gives us a leader, established, proven, and hungry. Ricky, if you saw what he did this summer, is just hitting his peak. He's just starting to hit that prime age of his career, and we're just grateful and thankful that he chose to do it here with us in Phoenix, because he's going to make us a better team. He's already made us a better team just with his presence.
Aaron Baines had a sore groin in FIBA World Championships. Is there any restrictions on any of the players that you're aware of at this point?
Aaron's always sore, man. He plays hard. I mean, I think if you ask any player that's been in the league more than eight or 9 years, they're never 100%, but he's a guy that always gets back to 100. And so as we go into camp, we're good to go. Our guys are chomping at the bit. We almost had to slow them down a little bit. Guys coming in for 2-a-days, 3-a-days. They're just ready, and they see this opportunity in front of them, and they want it. And that's what we've been chasing, to make sure that we have a roster, and our roster's deep, 3x5 as I call it. We're 3 deep at all 5 positions, and that makes for some competitive basketball and a great environment for learning and growth.
What kind of improvement are you looking to have DeAndre have in his second year?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you say that?
What are you looking for with DeAndre in his second year? What kind of improvement?
Like the improvement all young players make, consistency in approach, consistency in effort, but more importantly, how he responds to the challenges. You play 82 games, ups and downs, and I think if you look at his production last year, he was really, really good. And if you ask him, he wants to go to another level. So as long as he comes in here every day and continues to work on his body and his mind and takes the challenge to lead by example, that's enough growth for me.
Hey, James, Mark McLuhan, 3TV, CBS 5. When the dust settled after free agency and you looked at the Western Conference, what did you think of how competitive and it will be top to bottom there?
I was excited. Like I said, it's, the Western Conference, you can talk about it. I mean, and teams build. You look at it on paper. I was blessed to play 14 years, and I know that how you start the season really has nothing to do with how you finish. it's all about the growth in season. So if we want to talk about paper, I think we did a heck of a job adding a bunch of players to our team and increasing our depth. And our strength is going to be in our depth. Our guys can play, and we'll throw a bunch of lineups, a bunch of players out there, and we'll be competitive every night. And that's what I look for. I can care less about the names. I just want to see our guys play.
James, how much of a benefit was it to have the guys get together before training camp and spend a couple days building together before they're even supposed to technically start building?
I mean, it's huge. The summer is their time. So anytime the players get together, and you know that it means something. They could be anywhere. They could be traveling internationally. They could be home with their families, yet they choose, as you get closer to camp, to spend that time with each other, knowing that they'll embark on a 9-month journey over the next 9 months to try to come closer as a team. So I commend those guys for sacrificing. You know, it's a tremendous sacrifice. Sometimes we forget, we take it for granted. But when you play as hard as these guys play for as long as they play, you know, you value that time away. But they chose to be together, so that should tell you something about this group of guys.
James, most of the guys you brought in, almost all the guys you brought in this summer, are young. They're in their early to mid-20s, yet they've all started, or almost all of them have started at least one playoff game or been in the playoffs. Was that a focus, or is that just the way it happened?
No, it was a focus, winning, production, playing for something. All of our guys that are on this team, they've played for something at some point in their career. And that's what you need when you need to turn things around, like we have to. That's a trait that you develop over time. And although they're young, to a man, they're all winners. And so that's the thing for us. You know, you'll see every move we make and everything we do has to contribute to winning, and the players that we bring in will appreciate that.
When you talk about the West and taking the steps forward that you said will be the focus this year, it doesn't always jump out right away for a young team to make the kind of step forward. It's not always obvious that it's going to happen even as it's happening. What are kind of some of the benchmarks you'll be looking for in camp and the start of the season, even that you might have already seen, to kind of feel good about, you know, how things are going progress-wise?
Just showing up every day and bringing it and leaving it on the floor, being consistent in their effort. You know, if it's the same, guys playing hard all the time and playing for each other, that'll breed success. So I'm looking for the small things. It's really the approach and the consistency to doing the little things, the fundamentals, sharing the ball, passing, taking good shots. If you see that decision-making proficiency and efficiency increase throughout the year, that's growth. We'll be breaking ground soon, and you want to grab a shovel, you can come over and help us. We can take all the help we need. I mean, all the help we can get. You know, we're excited about that. That's going to be huge for us. Right now, we have our facilities, but whenever you can have your own space, you just feel good about it. You know, you come into work every day knowing that you're building something for yourself, but also for the guys that are with you and that come behind you. So that's going to be huge for us. I mean, that's the hope, that's the plan. You know, I believe it'll be ready by the start of next year's training camp.
James, earlier you said you wanted to make Suns basketball entertaining again. What does entertaining basketball look like to you?
Joy. You know, I use the word joy. I don't use fun a lot. You know, fun is something I think that can be fleeting, but joy. When you watch our guys out there smiling, laughing, sharing emotion on the floor, you know, competing. You know, the competition piece is fun. These are the world's best athletes, and they'll prove it every night. And when you see that, it makes it entertaining. So that's what I mean. You know, just coming in every night to the arena knowing that you're going to get our guys' best effort and that they're going to leave it all on the floor.
James, you've basically now gone through your first calendar year in this type of role. Just when you sort of look back on what you've learned as an executive, just what are the biggest things that you've learned that maybe now you can apply this year?
You just have to continue to have a steady temperament. You know, the winning, the losing, that's the game. You can get emotional in those times, but you know, I've decided that I needed to continue to focus on incremental improvement and creating an environment that makes growth like organic. surrounding myself with good people, bringing good people into the organization. But what I did learn is that you need a really good coach, and I'm just happy we got one.
Last year, you mentioned that you didn't want to bring in another 19-year-old rookie or a point guard, and you certainly in the draft you showed that by bringing in a couple of guys who've been in college for a few years and had seen success at that level. Is that exactly what you were looking for in the draft, or again, did it just shake out that way when the board fell?
No, that's what we wanted. I know those guys were our targets. I said before, it's unfair sometimes to bring a 19-year-old kid into the NBA and expect those guys to perform at a high level and lead your team. It's unrealistic, and the results are pretty predictable. So we wanted to make sure that we brought in guys that we thought could grow, but at the same time had the capacity to play if we needed them to. And if you look at our draft class this year, those guys are that. They're winners who've played a lot of minutes. They've led their teams, and they've had success. And so that's what we need, and that's what we got.
For the last couple summers, it's always been what do we expect next from Devin? What do we expect next from Devin? This time also, what growth do you expect with DeAndre Ayton coming into his second year?
Like I said, to continue to be consistent, and to embrace the help that we will give him. Our coaches, our players, we're here to make his job easier, to help him be efficient. So the growth for him will be the patience factor. And, he's an emotional kid. He loves to compete, and he wears it on his sleeve sometimes. So, we just have to continue to work with him to let him know that this is about us. It's not about him. And if he does the things that we expect him to do, that he'll help us in a big way.
What's the plan moving forward with Zay? Obviously, very young player, has talent. What's the plan in terms of redevelopment?
Just to continue to put him on the schedule and help him adjust to the NBA. As far as playing, he'll just have to practice every day, work every day like everyone else, to develop professional habits. But we like what he brings and we like what he can be. But for right now, we're trying to keep it simple with him. We just want him to show up in the building, watch and learn, and be a sponge and get better. Well, you'd have to ask Devin, but I don't think any of us are looking backward. I wasn't there. I wasn't here for most of that. I just know that we have a really good group, a bunch of players that are excited about the opportunity in front of them. That's really not our history. We don't really have a history. We're fresh, and so we're trying to embrace the legacy of the Suns as a franchise, a historic franchise with a lot of pride. And that's experienced a lot of success. And so if you ask our guys, they'll tell you that that's what they know and that's what they see. And so we just focus forward. We'll have a lot of fun this year, and we'll continue to separate ourselves from the past.
James, you referenced it earlier with Ricky and watching him play this summer. You've seen a lot of him over the years, but what was it like watching him in China, knowing that's your point guard, especially with the way that he played for Spain and winning the whole thing?
Oh, I was geeked. It made me look great, that's what Ricky does. He makes everyone look good. And you have a sense of joy. He's our guy. Ricky's my guy. He's Monty's guy. He's Devin's guy. He's a son. And so that sense of pride and enjoyment, sense of pride that I talked about earlier, those are the types of things that contribute to that. So I'm wherever he is, Ricky, thank you. That's all I can say.
Last one.
When you look at, obviously, I guess I've been missing out. Very curious in terms of Monty. You knew you wanted him and got the guy you wanted. But what have you seen since that confirms that hey, this is the right guy for us?
I see a leader, a guy that loves what he does, and loves the guys that he works with, and that's driven to improve every day. I walk down in the office every day and I see more and more plays going up on the board, and I'm pretty sure you can't run that many plays in an NBA game, but he'll have enough to run if he needs it. But that's what I see is just that excitement that desire and willingness to embrace the journey and the challenge that's ahead of us. So it gives me comfort and excitement to know that. I mean, it makes me excited to know that I have a guy who not only wants to do it, but has done it, and will continue to pursue excellence. So that's a great example for us, and that's a great example for the franchise. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Perfect segue.
Oh, you and let me bring up Monty Williams, the head coach of the Phoenix Suns.
Thank you guys for coming out. Obviously, I want to echo what James said. This is an exciting time for us. Excited about the people, the players that James has asked to partner with us, the integrity, the work, the history, the experience that they all bring, coupled with people who have stayed. And that is a huge thing for us going forward. We are a first-class organization, and it starts with our people. And I can't say it enough how excited I am about the challenge of not just this season, but going forward. And we've spent a lot of time this summer promoting our values, establishing a culture that we want to continue to build. And our players have adapted to it smoothly. It's hard, but they've done a good job of adapting. So with that, I can't wait to get started. I've been waiting for this day for a long, long time. And again, I want to thank James for our first conversation in Toronto and everything we've done since then. It's been huge for me. And so, again, thank you guys for coming. And I'll open it up to more questions. Hopefully 3.
Hi, Scott Barker with Tucson Lifestyle Magazine. Tell me, I know there's been a lot of different philosophies over the years in terms of the pacing that the Suns are going to take. Are we going to be doing a lot of running this year? Are we going to be slowing it down? What are you looking to do?
Well, I don't think anybody wants to play slow or enjoys that. If you look at my history as a head coach, when I started, the game was a bit slower, and I had a point guard in Chris Paul and David West and a Emeka Okafor, and we didn't play as fast, but we were efficient. I think with today's players and athletes, the game is played a ton faster. My goal is to be more efficient. If you look at our numbers, those are things that we have to improve. And so I want to play an enjoyable style, but also want to be efficient. And I want to be able to get out of the way. That's why I was so happy about Ricky. He allows you to give him the reins and you let him go. And you couple that with Devin and his ability to play off the ball, play with the ball, and our athletes, I think we can play a bit faster. And I tell players all the time, if you want freedom on offense, get a stop. Because if you get a stop, I don't have to call plays and we can just go.
Monty, obviously, so many new guys, you being obviously a new head coach with this group. What's the challenges of trying to configure that when you have guys that haven't hardly played with each other at all? I mean, Devin, the other guys were rookies that were here, brought in Tyler and Kelly, but just trying to mesh that. What's the challenges with that?
There's a number of them, but the main thing is just getting to know one another. Off the floor and on the floor, spending a lot of time together. I think that's why guys taking time out of their summer to come here is huge. And most teams are doing it, so we're not different. But I think we want to be able to make it meaningful. You know, we don't want to get together just to get together. Our guys are, out to eat. After we finish working guys out, they're playing one-on-one for another half hour, sometimes longer. Sweat equity is a big thing. You learn a lot about a guy when you're tired. Is he coachable? Can he take direction? And then off the court, it's been tremendous. I had 80 people in my house the other day, which is a stretch for me. But it speaks to the atmosphere and the temperature here. Guys want to be together. I think that can speed up the process when you get to know your teammates when you get to know your coaches and staff.
Monty, James was just talking about being geeked watching Ricky in
Yeah.
FIBA, and Aaron Baines obviously had a really nice performance there too.
Yeah.
When you're watching them play, what excites you about those two guys as far as what they did in international ball, and maybe how can that translate then to what they can do with this team?
I mean, their experience excites me. And it's not just the obvious playing experience. Those guys know what a playoff day looks like. They know what a tough practice feels like. They know what you're going to say before you say it. That is something that can translate to the guys that may not understand why we have to watch film today. Why do we have to practice? Those guys can say, this is what winners do. And I think when you watch those guys this summer, you saw Aaron. I mean, he was the glue for that team. And Ricky, I mean, I saw him in Anaheim after they lost to the U.S., and I was kind of worried about them, you know, their team. And I met him after the game, and he looked me right in the eyes, and he told me that they were going to win the World Cup. And I was like, okay, Ricky. And they went and did it. And so I've learned to not bet against Ricky. And so that excites me about those two guys, their experience on the floor and off the floor, and the intangibles.
Coach Monty, Dave Jones, a DNA Sports Wrap-Up Show. By the numbers, if you look at the reserves that you guys have put together this year, talk about the bench and what your thoughts were putting the reserves together this year.
Well, I think James said it. We have depth at every position. If you just start with Aaron, that's a big-time addition to our team. I spoke to the people in Boston, and they were hurting about that trade because Aaron was a huge part. You look at our backup point guard position, we have some versatility. Ty and Javon and Tyler can play some point. Devin can play some point. We have Mikhail and Cam at the wing position. Frank was huge for us, his ability to stretch the floor. And our training camp is going to mesh all that out. We're going to find out about our depth. But I think we have enough guys to have an environment that's competitive every day. And the way I was taught from day one with Pat Riley 26 years ago, competitive environments, they weed guys out and they bring the best out of you. And that's what we want to do starting tomorrow.
Monty, as far as three-point shooting, last week
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton mentioned that he wants to take some threes, and he actually told me that you said you wanted him to take threes
Yeah.
this year, and you have been working on them. So tell me, what's your philosophy? What's your plan on taking threes this year? Do you expect the team overall to be in the top half of the league, or is that just a function of whatever's efficient?
That, but I also think you have to account for some anomalies within the league. There's teams that are taking 45 threes a game. When you look at the kinds of threes, off the dribble, contested threes, those aren't good shots. And so we want to be able to get open threes. And we have a guy that can create, two guys that can create open shots in Devin and Ricky. And so everybody else should be licking their chops. As it relates to DA, in our offense, there's a number of opportunities in the trail spot where he can knock down a three or transfer the ball. He's worked on it, and my philosophy is if you've worked on it, do it. You know, if you have it in your game and you've spent the time and put the sweat equity in, do it in the game. And the only way you're going to be comfortable in a playoff game taking that shot is you got to do it all the time during the regular season, in practice, by yourself. And he's done that. This season, he and Mark Bryant have put in a ton of work with Aaron and all of our bigs shooting the ball. And that's where the league is going. These bigs are so talented and versatile, and I don't want to take that away from anybody.
Monty, a lot of people have labeled this season as a fresh start for the Suns due to the amount of new acquisitions and yourself being a first-year head coach. What are your expectations for the team coming into the season?
Am I a first-year head coach?
I mean, first year
My
here,
bad.
excuse me.
I just thought I'd mess with you. I think our expectations are to be able to improve every month. James said it, and I'm going to continue to say that. We want to be able to look back and say we competed every single night, every single practice. Everything was meaningful. And that may sound cliche, but the one thing you can't account for is how hard a team plays. And I played on the team in Orlando. I forget the year, it's been so long ago, but it was called the Heart and Hustle team. And that team played harder than any team I've ever been around. And you can't game plan for that. And so when we step on the floor, I want guys to know it can be an hour practice, but if we compete the way that I want to, we can get a lot more done than sitting in the gym for 2 hours and do nothing. And I think if we bring that to the floor, we're going to have an exciting brand, and we're going to get better every night.
Monty, Devin Booker played a lot of one last year
Right.
and showed a lot of growth as a playmaker. How do you kind of balance the new additions like Rubio, Ty Jerome, and then Tyler Johnson being back with that playmaking ability?
Sure. Well, the ball always finds the best players. The ball finds energy and it finds talent. That's known. Devin knows how to play off of guys. He knows how to play with the ball, and he understands Ricky's going to help him be more efficient. And so there's going to be times where I get out of their way because they're good players. Devin, for such a young player, has a high IQ. And again, I want to be able to give those two the freedom to work it out. And I think the balance will be more Ricky with the ball, finding Devin. But I think Ricky knows when Devin's rolling, we got to get him the ball. And so that's not something I want to choreograph every night. We have a value system, but Pop taught me a long time ago, rules can stifle talent. And if your rules are stifling your talent, then you need to change your rules, not the talent.
So, Coach, piggybacking on that, now that you have a structure in place with the point guard, solidified point guard, are you going back to basics here with rebound, get the ball to Ricky, and go for that structure? Do you think that'll be good for this team with how young it is, or is it just kind of, again, see what happens?
No, I think we have the versatility off of a miss. We can push the ball with any one of our wings. When we're in our make offense, that's when I want Ricky to run the show. But if there's a miss and Devin's close to the ball or Kelly is close or one of our wings, Tyler, those guys can go. I don't want to slow the game down by trying to get it to one guy. What if Ricky's 2 quadrants away from the ball? That's a slow brand of basketball. And so off of a miss, like I said, I don't want to get in the way. If you want freedom on offense, get a stop. If we can do that, then anybody can push the ball.
Monty, when you look at Devin, this will be his 5th coach off,
right.
Piggybacking off what Ken was asking. Trust. He's probably, hey, there's another guy
right.
coming in, even
right.
though your rep is obviously well respected in the league.
Right.
How do you build that trust with him that he's not thinking, okay, this guy is here, and then who knows, I might be playing for another coach next year.
I don't do that. We are, as James said, looking forward. I can't change what happened here. If you look at Devin's history, it's actually 6 coaches if you count college, and he doesn't have to trust me right now. You know, that's something that you build over time. I think if a guy came in this summer and was like, "Coach, I'm with you, I trust you," I'd be like, "Dude, look, that's not how it works." And I've told guys that you don't have to trust me now. Over time, you will, but right now you don't, and I expect nothing less from Devin.
Last one.
How much are you looking for DeAndre in his second year to become a leader on this team, as opposed to just a rookie making his way in the league?
DeAndre's like 17 years old. Like I don't expect him to be a leader. I think that's one of the things that the NBA has done to young players. I want him to be consistent in his work ethic, in his approach, what he does on the floor and film sessions with Mark Bryant. I think the leadership will grow over time, and there's moments where he can, but to cast that on him, I think, is unfair for a young guy that has shown great promise, had a good year last year, great year last year. We just want him to focus on being more consistent. Leadership will come, but I think that's years away. Thank you.